Hey, what's up, everybody? I want to welcome you to another episode of the Dreamers Pro Daily Recap, where we give you a recap of all of the hot topics that we covered that day. You can catch them in their long format and also catch it fully streaming for free on Apple Podcasts. A few weeks ago, I would say about 3 to 4 weeks ago, we did a show on Will Cain. Now, as you guys know, Will Cain used to be at work at ESPN. He used to have some absolutely fiery segments on First Take with Stephen A. Smith and Max Kellerman. That's when ESPN First Take was ESPN First Take, man. When they used to have those shows, those segments, right? And from time to time, they would discuss political issues. Sometimes it's directly related to sports. Other times it wasn't. But one of the moments was, I believe, I think it was Kevin Durant that said that he didn't want to go to the White House because I think the Warriors were during their championship run. And generally what happens is whenever a U.S. team, professional team wins, they usually go to the White House, right? Whether you're a basketball team, baseball team, NFL team, whatever. That's usually the custom. But sometimes some players decide not to go, right? And I think the former Philadelphia Eagles quarterback, I forgot his name, there was some noise about that this last time that I think he wanted to go or he didn't go. I don't remember. I think he went at the same time, right? I think he went, right? I don't remember. Anyway, so this happens, right? And these are the kind of conversations that they used to have. But anyway, in that show that we produced, we were reacting to an awful announcing article that was talking about a sit down that Will Cain did on Sage Steele's show, where he was talking to her and he essentially told her that people at ESPN told him that black people hate him. And I was like, really? I never heard about this. So what we want to do is I want you guys to take a listen to this article here. I want to read a little bit from it and I'm going to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to this here. And Will Cain. Will Cain thought black people loved him when he was at ESPN. ESPN management, however, didn't appear to agree. Cain joined a recent episode of the Sage Steele show where they discussed having conservative viewpoints while working at ESPN. Throughout much of his ESPN tenure, Cain was embraced by First Take for bringing a conservative viewpoint to the show. And while he often sparred with Stephen A. Smith and Max Kellerman over issues such as Colin Kaepernick taking a knee, Cain believed he was still relating to the show's black viewers. I said to Stephen A., I said on camera, in a lot of ways, black guys and I people don't believe this. We hit it off because we grew up and the culture we had is similar. In North Texas, native told Steele, I'm painting with a broad brush. Not everybody does, but the debate world, the idea that I can say something to you in a disagreement and it's not mean. And it doesn't mean I don't like you, especially around the world of sports. I just never felt like that was a thing. So what if I said you're wrong? And a lot of black guys at ESPN were operating on the same wavelength. ESPN management, however, didn't appear to be sold on Cain's assessment that he was hitting it off with black people during his time on First Take. One time management told me, Cain recalled, they said, we did a focus group. Black people hate you. And I said, no, they don't. I mean, I meet them all the time. They love me. According to Cain, the unnamed ESPN executive countered by saying black people are polite. They're not going to tell you to your face. Excellent. So that was that. And I thought that we were done with it. So this morning, as you guys know, from time to time, we talk politics on this show and we watch a range. I watch a range of political commentators, right? I watch people, conservative views, liberal views, whatever, right? Because I'm still learning, and I'm not Stephen A. Smith that believes I know it all. No. I'm still learning. I'm still learning about it. That's why I'm dabbling, right? Dabbling. But anyway, I came across this video, right? Actually, from a white guy who's a former U.S. Who's a U.S. veteran. His name is Jesse Dolmore, right? I came across his video just this morning, right? And the video title said, Fox News delivers neo-Nazi message about white people and culture being superior to all others, right? Now, generally, I wouldn't click on the video, right? Because whatever. But I saw Will Cain's face on the video, right? And then it made me, on the thumbnail, excuse me, and then made me think, well, damn, we just spoke about this, right? So I'm like, okay, let me see what Will Cain is saying here. So for those of you who didn't hear Will's comments, I want to play it for you now, and I'm going to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to Will Cain here.
You know, I'm sure there are very honorable, law-abiding, upstanding citizens and contributors from the Somali community here in the United States. But that doesn't mean we can't use our judgment, our wisdom, in analyzing the various contributions of communities and cultures. We're not going to pretend here that all cultures are of equal value or are the same. No one really believes that. No one makes individual choices on a day-to-day basis that reveals they think all cultures are the same, where they choose to live, what they choose to eat, who they choose to socialize with. It's mostly a virtue signal, and that's what you get from most politicians when it comes to this very serious conversation that needs to be had about our culture here in America. You normally get from politicians just pandering, just nonsense, just stuff like this from Minnesota's mayor.
That's not American. That's not what we are about. And we're going to do right by every single person in our cities. And so, to our Somali community, Daman Shabka, Somalied Kunul, Minnesota, Garahan, Minneapolis, Waan, Ku Janilahai, Waan, Ku Gereb, Taganahan.
Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey. I would be curious, I don't know Somali, if that's a little bit like Jill Biden saying she likes tacos. I don't know, because it's in Somali. I speak English because I live in America. And that's the point. This is a country with a culture, and we have a right to ask whether or not all cultures are compatible with the culture of America.
Excellent. So you heard what Will had to say. Now, when we produced that show 3-4 weeks ago, I remember saying I like Will Cain, or I liked Will Cain, whatever. I never had any issues with Will Cain, right? And I never felt that way about him. But a lot of our viewers were telling me in the comments, actually I was surprised at the amount of people that were commenting, but bro, we don't like him. We don't like him. I was like, damn, well, I never knew. Maybe I wasn't paying enough attention to Will Cain. Maybe I was not, right? I never paid attention. I only saw him on First Take, so I didn't really, So a lot of people in the comments were like, bro, you don't know about Will. So it was kind of these things where I was like, oh, okay, I guess I missed that kind of thing, right? So when I now heard these comments that Will Cain had to make about the culture, and obviously Will Cain is reacting to the comments that President Donald Trump had to make about the Somalians and all that. I'm sure you guys have heard that, right? So what are my thoughts about this? First of all, I never knew Will Cain felt this way. Right? I never knew he felt this way. I don't follow Will Cain, so I don't know. Right? I never knew. But I guess, you know what? I was trying to understand where is Will coming? Because the simplistic way to say is Will is a racist, right? Will is a racist, and he's up there talking like Stephen Miller during not Charlie Kirk's, I think Charlie Kirk's funeral. So that's the simplest way to look at it. But I was trying to understand what did I miss here? And I'm guessing that this has to do with the fact of how I grew up, right? Because I was born in Maryland, grew up in New York City. So I guess I have a different perspective growing up from Will, right? I don't know where Will is from. I think Texas or somewhere. I don't know. But growing up in New York City, you have a totally different experience from most places in the country. You will seldom hear a New Yorker say something like this. You seldom would, because New York City is the ultimate melting pot. But as a whole, America is a melting pot, right? And if we're looking at it from a cultural standpoint, funny enough, I was just thinking to myself, what was it, about a few days ago, about a week or so ago, and I was saying to myself, like, damn, I miss the States, man. Damn, I miss the States. Why? Because it's Thanksgiving. It was Thanksgiving, and where I am, we're not celebrating Thanksgiving. And I'm like, man, I miss the States, man. It would have been so fun, like just the memories. Y'all don't, right? You're like, man, it's so much fun and all of this stuff. So I was just kind of having a nostalgic moment for myself. But the fact of the matter is, there are two layers to culture in the United States. There are two. There's the let's say the first layer, which is American culture, right? Which is what we all kind of share together. If you grew up in the States or born in the States, wherever, where we do similar things, Super Bowl Sunday is a big thing. Labor Day is a big thing. All these holidays we all share. Where we have certain customs. It's just what Americans do, right? Regardless of your background, this is the American thing to do, right? You have that layer of it where we all share these things in common. Then you have the subcultures, which is what? Well, America is made up of it's a country made up of immigrants, basically. In America, we all know this. I don't even know why I have to explain this. Yes, you have Americans, but under that, you have different groups of people. When the Irish came over, the Italians came over, where did they come from? Did they come from Mars? Or did they not come from these countries, right? So all of these people came to the United States with those cultures that they had there. And what you have is a fusion of these things, right? So give you an example. You go to New York City, you're going to have Irish American, you're going to have Italian American, Chinese American, Jamaican American, the full gambit, right? So you can be walking down the street and you can be hearing somebody speaking French, Spanish, Italian, Chinese, whatever the hell it is. These people are all Americans. You can't walk up to them and tell them they're not an American. You can't do that. Who are you to tell them that they're not American? They've been here for generations. They're Americans, right? But it doesn't mean that, they're not. There's no such thing as an Italian American or a French American, or no, it's bullshit, right? And we all know this, right? So Will saying these things, it almost makes it seem like he's oblivious to this, or it's like, do you live in America? Or, I mean, I'm confused. Like, Will saying that is confusing to me. Obviously, when he made the comments about speaking English, America's an English-speaking country. We all speak English, right? It's the spoken language in the States, and everybody should speak English. But we all know this already, so Will isn't breaking any news here. But it doesn't mean because that's a spoken language, that's the only language you're going to hear. Well, like, what are we talking about here? Like, you're going to go into places and people are going to be speaking their language. People are going to be speaking Indian or Hindu, whatever. I don't know the languages. People are going to be speaking French, whatever. That's what people do, right? Does it make it less American? Because, I don't know, an Italian family, they get together for the holidays, for Christmas, and they're in their house. They're all Americans, generations, but they decide to speak Italian or they decide to eat Italian food. Like, what are we talking about here? We talk about food. There's the American foods that we all love and enjoy, hamburgers, hot dogs, all of this stuff that we all cherish, love, pizza, and all of that stuff. But it doesn't mean that when you go into people's houses, they're not going to be eating food from their cult. What are we talking about here? So, in conclusion, I'm surprised at Will Cain's comments. It's like it almost seems like something a child would say, or somebody that's not lived in the United. I'm truly confused by what he's trying to say here. Like, we all know this already, Will. So what are you talking about? You understand? I only speak English. Good for you, Will. We all speak English, but there are other people that speak other languages. Will, I mean, what do we talk? Look at Kobe Bryant and his wife. Is Kobe Bryant's wife not American? Does she not speak Spanish? Like, what do you mean? What are you saying? So I'm very surprised to hear Will say these kind of things. I really am. I don't know what he's talking about. I don't know what America he's referring to. America is a melting pot, for goodness sake. If anybody here that's watching this video that's in college, in your university, don't you see different type of people walking around from different ethnic backgrounds? Are they not American? Of course they are, right? But don't they look different? I don't know what the hell Will Cain is talking about here. I don't know what he's on to about. You guys know we've been roasting and toasting LeBron James over the last 24 to 48 hours. And of course, a lot of people don't like that, right? I don't care. I don't care because, look, number one, you're not going to put a muzzle on people. People don't have to like people. They don't. There are a lot of people that are not fans of Michael Jordan, and they don't hide the fact. Nick Wright doesn't like Michael Jordan. I don't see people telling him he doesn't need to talk. You don't have to be a fan of people, man. You can like who you want to like, right? And I don't believe in this whole kumbaya thing. No, bro, it's sports. You're not going to like everybody, right? People are going to be fans of certain people while others are not. And to be frank with you, a lot of LeBron fans have spent a lot of time dissing a lot of other people's favorite players. So when it comes to your favorite player, just deal with it and just be quiet, right? That's my take on it. Now, people get upset. I don't care. Anyway, so as you guys know, the last game that LeBron played has turned into like this mythical game where he assisted the ball and the guy made it. Funny enough, there was another game winner that night before. Made no news. There are game winners that happen all the time, but this particular game winner is like, oh my God, can you imagine LeBron James, the basketball IQ? For goodness sake, he passed the ball. Can you imagine? The guy passed the ball. Oh my God, who would have thought that an NBA player can pass the ball to another guy to hit a shot? Goodness Lord, this is unbelievable. We've never seen anything like this before. I mean, for goodness God, like, this is incredible. Like, this is where we are, right? The amount of glaze and torcation that's taking place is just something to behold. But anyway, LeBron, as we currently speak, is averaging 14 points a game, 4.3 rebounds, 7.8 assists, on 41% shooting from the field, 26% shooting from three, and somehow, some way, 55% from the free throw. That one I don't understand. Like, that's the number that has a lot of us out here. Like, how are you shooting 55% from the like, that's a startling number. Well, it looks like Shannon Sharpe of Nightcap has decided to make a bold prediction, which is Shannon Sharpe believes, after watching LeBron James thus far this season, believes that LeBron James is going to retire at the end of this season. So what we want to do is we want to play what Shannon Sharpe had to say here on Nightcap with Chad Johnson, and we're going to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to his comments here.
And they're the number 2 seed in the West.
I have a question. Is he able to average that much because LeBron is taking a back seat and role and facilitating the ball, as opposed to picking and choosing when to take over games or when to hurt himself?
With him and Luka. Yes, because the ball is mainly in him and Luka's hand, and LeBron is playing off the ball. So it's not very often that you're going to see a guy that's as credentialed as LeBron be the third option.
But
well, I mean, I guess Kareem theoretically was the third option by the time they got to with him and Magic and Worthy. But look, it's been a struggle for him. I think the thing is him not being able to train this offseason like he wants with that sciatica, missing as many games he did. He can only miss 2 more games. So I think it's out of his, like, he knows he can only miss like another 2 games in order to be an all NBA selection or make any of the teams. I think that's out the window now. I just think the thing is, and he's probably this is going to be the first year that he averages under 20 points a game. He'll probably be somewhere around 16 to 18 points a game, and I don't see him much. I don't see him playing past this year.
I mean, listen, I wouldn't make that call, this early. You have to remember, it's still very early in the season. And the fact that he wasn't able to have training camp, he might be bringing himself along very slow. Understanding that Reeves and Luka can carry the goddamn load and can pick and choose when he wants to insert himself into the game. And the fact that he has a self-awareness to not allow his pride or his ego to get in the way, and being able to facilitate and picking and choosing and allowing the game to come to him. If the shot is there, I'm going to take it. If I'm out of rhythm like I was tonight and I wasn't able to get my shot flowing, I'm going to get everybody else involved. Most players, obviously those that are hungry, they going to shoot it and keep on shooting no matter how many times they miss.
Well, he shot 17 times. I mean, he had the second most shot attempts on the team. They just wasn't falling tonight. And his shot hadn't been, with the exception of maybe a handful of games, that game that he had 25, the shot. But other than that, it's been a struggle for him to find a rhythm, to get into a rhythm. Because look, Luka's dominating the ball. Luka's normally going to take about 10 to 12 shots in the first quarter. If you notice, Luka always gets off to a hot start. He's averaging somewhere between 16 and 20 points in a quarter. So he's getting a lot of the shots. Austin Reeves getting a lot of the shots. So it's kind of hard. He can do it. Like he said, the most important thing is for them to win.
Fantastic. So you heard what Shannon Sharpe had to say. What are my thoughts about this? I would disagree. I would disagree. I don't think LeBron is going to retire at the end of the season. Nope. If LeBron retired at the end of this season, it would do something that a lot of us believe is not going to happen. It would take away the farewell tour. And if you know anything about LeBron, LeBron wants a farewell tour. He wants a farewell tour. So if LeBron were to just abruptly say he's going to retire, unless he plans on doing it right now, I don't see it happening. I don't. If LeBron retired right now, I don't think he would be going out on his own terms. And LeBron strikes me as a guy that wants to go out on his own terms. I think he has his own documentary that he's working on. He just strikes me as somebody that wants to go out, and I don't see this being the case. Look, coming into this offseason, I believe him and his camp were under the impression that the Lakers were going to give him a contract extension, which they didn't. And I think that threw their entire plans and whatever strategy into total disarray. Right? Because now that the team that you've been playing for the last 7 years is saying we're not going to give you an extension and you live in that city, well, now things change because you either have to retire now or play elsewhere. And I think that's what's going to happen. I don't see a situation where LeBron 20% into the season just says, you know what, I'm going to retire. He could do it. I just don't see it happening. And I don't see a scenario in which the season ends and then he retires then. I don't see it. If LeBron is going to retire, he's going to announce it and he's going to get the farewell tour from the beginning tip-off of opening night all the way to the end of that season, right? So if he's going to retire, I think it'll be next year. I don't think it'll be this year. If LeBron James announces his retirement this year, I will be stunned. I will be absolutely stunned. Now, Shannon made some other comments about making the right play every time. Bro, knock it off. Nobody makes the right play every single time. No one does, right? We're human beings. We can all mess up. We can all make mistakes. So to say he makes that right play every time is total nonsense, right? Kobe Bryant didn't take the right shot every single time. Michael Jordan didn't take the right shot every single time. Knock it off, man. Knock it off. There's no perfect basketball player. People are going to make mistakes. People are going to make decisions that are incorrect, right? Kobe's sometimes going to force up a shot at the end of the game where he should, players make mistakes. So to suggest that he makes the right play every time is nonsense, especially when we've seen what people are talking about. What these guys are talking about, the right play, it's a defense mechanism against this thing of LeBron running from the ball and doing crazy, wacky things at the end of games. That's their defense mechanism to it. We've seen so many times in Miami, Cleveland, wherever, where at the end of games, LeBron is doing things you're like, well, what is this guy doing? Even in all-star games where the stakes don't matter at all. End the game scenario, you got the ball in your hand, it goes to you, you're throwing it to deep. Like, people are like, what is going on here? So no, he doesn't make the right play every time. And there's no shame to that because no NBA player makes the right play every single time. Come on, knock it off. Knock it off. That means, for you to say that, it means you're 100% correct every single time on what's happening. You can have no defensive breakdowns. You can't botch up a play. No, I'm always correct. Come on, knock it off with this nonsense, man. Knock it off. These guys are so insufferable with their twerking. He makes the right play ever. No one is perfect. No player, athlete is perfect. Did Usain Bolt win every race that he ran in? No. Is he not the greatest? Like, what are we talking about here? What is this nonsense, stupid about, oh, LeBron? Like, come on. Yeah, this is the problem with LeBron fans. They're so annoying. They always got to over-embellish and add things that are just absolutely unnecessary. And he himself said, I make the right play every single time. Like, this is what we're talking about. You're telling me there aren't times in the games when LeBron has made a decision, you're like, bro, that was the wrong decision, clearly. Like, what are we talking about here? What are we talking about here? So, as you guys know, Stephen A. Smith decided this year to really make his foray into the political arena, right? Now, he'd always talked about wanting to do other things outside of ESPN and sports, but it wasn't clear that it was politics specifically that he wanted to do. So, at the top of this year, he really delved into this space head on. He was talking more sports when he first started, but now it's politics 90% of the time, right? Or 85% of the time is politics. Here and there, he'll talk about sports topics. So essentially, since he started this channel, Stephen A. Smith has been very, very critical of the Democrats. But prior to the election, he voted for Democrat and Kamala Harris for president. So, I mean, if he thought the Democrats was rudderless and confused and they didn't know what the hell they were doing, I don't know why he thought that voting for Kamala Harris would have been the right thing to do. Because ever since she lost the election, he has done nothing but trash the Democratic Party. So this is one of the reasons why I was confused when people were talking about Stephen A. Smith could run for office. I'm like, run for office is what? He says he's an independent. Fantastic. That's not going to work in a general election because the two major parties are Republicans and Democrats. So good luck with that position. So you're an independent. You're always chastising the Democratic Party to the point where now they can't stand you. So what's going to happen in a general election or in a primary? You're going to say, what? I'm running as a Democratic nominee. Well, the Democrats don't like you because you spent the last, year or two or whatever, how long it's going to be for the general election, trashing this party. And then people are going to turn around and say, yeah, I'll vote for Stephen A. Smith. So that's not going to work. Are you going to run as a conservative? Well, no conservative is going to vote Stephen A. Smith in for nothing. They're not going to do it. And the reason they're not going to do it is because they don't take him seriously to that extent. They take him seriously because, so he will say some things about the Democrats. He'll go on valuetainment. They'll entertain him and all of this. But when it comes for a general election, no one is voting for Stephen A. Smith, especially not a Republican, right? We know this. But anyway, during his kind of style of talk of just constantly chastising Democratic leaders, he did something recently which really got a lot of people's antennas up, where he decided to go off on Republican Senator Mark Kelly, right? And essentially what he did was because Senator Mark Kelly and some of his other colleagues who served in the Army or intelligence agencies were essentially saying to the troops, you have a right to disobey illegal orders, which seemed like a pretty basic thing to say. That seemed pretty much right to me, and I've never been in the Army, right? But I thought that that's how things were always done. So he did that, and he got a lot of blowback for that. A lot of blowback. And people are like, what the hell are you talking about? We even did a show, and I remember specifically on that show, in that particular show, we got about 30,000 views on that video. For us to get on a political topic and get 30,000 views, that's like getting 100,000 views, right? And I told the people that were watching, if you are a veteran, former veteran, current, whatever, please make sure you leave your comments and let us know for our edification in the comment section. Are you meant to follow unlawful orders? And almost every service member said, you're not supposed to do that. So a lot of us were confused as to why this guy was up there saying that. So anyway, for whatever reason, they invited him to go on The View to talk, you guessed it, politics, right? And a lot of us are like, we're still doing this, right? So he goes on there, and at one point he is confronted about the comments that he made about Senator Mark Kelly. And in typical Stephen A. Smith fashion, you guessed it, he doubled down on the nonsense. So for those of you who didn't hear this exchange, we want to play for you now. Get your popcorn ready. And I'm going to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to Stephen A. Smith here.
And you had some really sharp criticisms of Democrats in the election for having sort of lost touch with the issues the voters cared about.
Yep.
How are you feeling now a year into Trump? And what do you make of this discussion around affordability and him saying it seems like it's a scam from Democrats?
Well, that's rhetoric on his part. There's nothing surprising or unpredictable about that. You could see that coming from a mile away because he has to say that right now because it's an issue and a concern for the American people. And he wants to act as if there is no concern because everything he's doing is just so beautiful and so marvelous and what have you. But in the end, the Democrats give the credit where credit is due at this particular moment in time. I think that they've learned from some of their mistakes anyway. When you see what happened in New York with Mamdani, when you see what happens in New Jersey with Cheryl as the governor, when you see what happens with Spanberger in Virginia, clearly there's something that's going on within the Democratic establishment that's saying, let's focus on real issues that are pertinent to the American people. Let's make sure we articulate ourselves appropriately so we don't lose sight of what the message should be. Leading up to the election, they did just that, and I thought they handed him the election as opposed to him actually winning it. Now they're forcing him to play ball and figure out a way to beat them because they're coming and they're gaining some momentum. We'll see what happens.
Now, let me just remind you that Pete Hegseth said in 2016, I do think there have to be consequences for abject war crimes. If you're doing something that is just completely unlawful and ruthless, then there is a consequence for that. That's why the military said it won't follow unlawful orders from their commander-in-chief. Okay. Now, given the fact that the secretary himself said that, I'd love to give you the opportunity to perhaps change your position on what you said.
I'm not changing a thing.
Okay.
I didn't stutter when
you
I
want to
said
stay
it.
loud and wrong?
Well, you could call it loud and wrong all you want to. You're entitled to your opinion. I'm entitled to mine.
Okay.
Here's the reality of the situation. First of all, I don't give a damn what Pete Hegseth has to say because I will tell you right now, he was never qualified for the job. When you talk about DEI and eradicating that, excuse me, what was he doing hosting Fox News on the weekend and all of a sudden he's the defense secretary? Please, give me a break. I don't care what he has to say. Let me get that out the way. As it pertains to Mark Kelly, what I was talking about is military. What I did was get on the phone with family and friends who have served in the military. And I said, we're not civilians. This is not the court of law. You can be implicated for implying something if you are a former military member or you are a present military member. It wasn't what Mark Kelly said. It's the fact that he was a combat Navy pilot who served in the military who would tell folks, ignore an order when it could get
Ignore
them
an
in a
illegal
world.
order.
He did not say
I said
ignore.
illegal.
What he said.
I said illegal. I'm talking about illegal. I understand that.
He said you don't have to follow an unlawful order, and that is in the military code of conduct.
And I'm saying to you, hold on, which I'm aware of.
But it didn't sound like you were aware of that.
Well, no. I disagree with you.
Stephen, can I ask you a question?
I had two governors, by the way, text me to tell me I was wrong, and they agree with you.
You are wrong.
I had two senators that reached out to me and said, you weren't wrong at all.
Well, Mikey Sherrill did say that the reason they felt the need to put that out is they were constantly being approached by people in the military saying, we're being put in really uncomfortable situations.
But
that to me is a little more relatable when you're a veteran yourself.
But I'm saying let me say this real quick.
You gotta do it real quick. Or wait till we come back.
All I'm saying is this. If you're a member of the military, I'm looking at the soldiers as saying, don't get yourself in trouble. Let somebody else do it. Don't you do it because it ain't gonna work for you.
So you heard what Stephen A. Smith had to say there. What are my thoughts about this? The first thing I have to say is I don't know why Stephen A. Smith is hell-bent on doing this. Right? Almost every person you've listened to or you listen to that is listened to or you listen listen to what Stephen A. Smith had to say about politics, the vast majority of them say that he really doesn't know much of the time what he's talking about. This is from Democrats, and various other voices. They're like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. And that's why you heard the lady say at the end, you would rather be loud and wrong, right? Even if you listen to him at the end, he still is wrong. You're chastising Senator Mark Kelly, who served in the Army, for telling troops to not follow unlawful orders which soldiers are taught. So what are you shouting about? What I think happened is Stephen A. Smith saw another moment to, I gotta say it, twerk it up for Donald Trump because he knows that he was going to give him a pat on the head like, good job, Stephen A. Smith. Keep twerking for me, because as you guys know, Donald Trump kind of endorsed Stephen A. Smith by saying that I think he should run for president. If you believe Donald Trump, of all of the people that should run for office, wants Stephen A. Smith to run for office and become a president in the future, you are on something that is very expensive, okay, that a lot of us can't afford. So that also went to his head. The fact that we're even talking about Stephen A. Smith running as a presidential candidate shows you where we are in American politics. That Stephen A. Smith and president are being mentioned in the same. This is where we are. This is how much of a joke the entire thing has become. But in terms of what he said, even there, he couldn't really express himself. He said, people have told, elected officials have told me that they disagree with me, while some governors told me they disagree with me, while some senators told me they agree with what? Agree with what? There's nothing to agree or disagree on. It's a rule that's in place. So whether you agree with it or not, it's the rule. You trying to chastise the senator for saying something that's taught to U.S. Army members, I'm confused. This is what they're taught. They're taught not to obey illegal orders. Now you can be reprimanded for obeying legal orders. That's when you're breaking the chain of command, which is something totally different, which is something that Mark Kelly said you're not meant to do. So I don't understand what the issue is here, except that Stephen A. Smith, again, saw a moment to support Donald Trump in a situation that didn't need any support. Like, I'm confused. They even played the sound earlier in this conversation that we didn't play for you of Pete Hegseth, who is a bundle of joy right now. That, if you want to talk about unqualified, it seems like there's no one more unqualified than him in that administration. It's an absolute positive joke. Audio came up of Pete Hegseth saying that you shouldn't follow unlawful, or they played it for him. And guess what Stephen A. Smith did? I don't care. I don't care because I'm Stephen A. Smith, so I don't care. You can't. At this point, folks, you cannot make this up. We are living in one big comedy skit at this point. The entire thing is a joke. It's a joke, but the sad part, it has real ramifications to this, but it's sad. It's sad. I'm saying I don't even know why this guy's doing this and why this is a hill that you want to die on. Like, there are other issues to take a stance on, but this one, it's unreal. Pete Hegseth said that you're not meant to do this. And he heard the sound and said, yeah, that doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter because, why should it matter? I'm Stephen A. Smith, and I can say what I think, and what I think should be law, and what I think is the only thing that needs to matter. It's a joke. It's a joke. Republicans don't take Stephen A. Smith seriously whatsoever. They put him up there because they know he's a black guy, a former Democrat, whatever, that's going to sit up here and diss the Democrats, and therefore they allow him to talk. Let me put it another way. Do you think Republicans would tolerate Stephen A. Smith if he was up there trashing the president at every opportunity? Of course not. Of course not. But he's put himself in a position where he's triangulated himself to the point where now he has to almost be a conservative. You can't do the Democrat thing. That's not going to work. I don't know any sensible Democratic voter that will look at all of the possible candidates and go, you know what? I want to vote for this guy. Who's doing that?